a special bonus episode. I, very last minute, reached out to Jordan Buckner of Food Bevy and said, hey, can we have a conversation about holidays and getting ready for the holidays? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So welcome, Jordan, to the podcast.
Thank you. And of course, I'm like, holidays, Sari. It's July. Why should I be thinking about the holidays already? I have a whole another 6 months to go.
Right? That's the problem, right? We're all in our consumer brain, our just like our shopper brain, but we're not in our retail. I'm a brand brain. So that's why every year I have been putting on crazy holiday sweaters in the middle of July and cranking the AC up
Yes.
and taking photos and videos to try to remind people that holiday planning starts now. And I'm going to let people why don't you tell people a little bit, just some quick background. You've already been on the podcast. I coach in your program and we do a lot of stuff together, but just introduce yourself for people who maybe haven't listened to that one.
Definitely. Well, Sarah, as you know, I am on a mission to help founders grow their businesses from startup to scale and do that through Food Bevy, which is an online community for food and beverage founders. And I love helping founders think about the problems and the obstacles that they are currently facing or going to face in the future and help them overcome that through various tools like building a community, doing masterminds, workshops, doing group coaching, which you help lead, and all around just helping brands make this journey of building their companies a lot easier. And then as we also talk about, I previously ran my own CPG brand, T Squares, for 6 years. So I have a lot of experience to share from that. And then currently I also have another e-commerce brand, Joyful Co., which is a curated gift box where we create gifts for various holidays and occasions throughout the year.
Awesome. So you have such a wealth of knowledge. And I just thought this will be a more engaging conversation than me just running through a list. And of course, if people want to get the full checklist, it's at foodbizsuccess.com/holiday. And I just thought it'd be fun to partner with you because you have access and so many, I mean, your community is amazing. And we'll put the link in the show notes for that. But I figured, like, let's do this together.
Well, and
Help
I love it as
everybody.
perfect timing because I have been completely guilty myself of poorly planning for holidays from a business standpoint. And so I think this is awesome to get into what founders should be thinking about right now to make their lives easier.
Yeah. So when I was at Whole Foods Market as the marketing director, I was probably right about this time of year was sitting in meetings at the regional office about our holiday plan. And I needed to have a full plan baked. You know, it doesn't mean you execute everything, but you understand exactly what you're going to be doing for that season, what, you know, in the case of the store, what decorations I needed, what end caps we were going to do, what new product launches, all that good stuff. And so by August, I was like ready to go and feeling confident. But we all know what usually happens for founders is it's like, oh, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. And then what, end of September, October, all of a sudden it's Halloween and you're like, crap.
Well, and can I just say like how I think surprising that is for a lot of founders who are going through it for the first time, because at least for me, right, like I was running my business maybe like a month out, if that, and really like week by week me so reactionary. And when I sat down for planning sessions with T Squares, we may think about like, yeah, we should plan to do things for holidays and Black Friday, but didn't have a strict kind of plan on how to actually execute that or fully think it out. And to know that retailers are thinking about and planning holidays 6 months plus in
A
advance and
year
a
even.
year in
Yeah.
advance, like that is, it's mind blowing for a lot of founders who are like, I don't know if I'm going to be around in a year, or I'm only like a year old. Like, how do I think that far ahead? And so I'd
Yeah.
love to hear what you think in terms of like what founders need to do to be successful.
Yeah. Well, what happens, unfortunately, is then, you know, if we think about, you know, and I do coaching in your program, if we think about the model, if you're, you know, the circumstance is just holidays, let's take Black Friday, right? Big holiday. That's a one that many brands want to engage in. But if you wait until it's, you know, you're button up against some deadlines and now your feeling is stressed and emergency and, you know, and then you're frustrated and beating up on yourself, it's like the actions you're taking are so not in alignment with what you're trying to create, which is more sales, right? And so if we can be the CEO of our business now and pause and say, I know I got all this other stuff going on, but let me take, I mean, it doesn't have to take that long, maybe a half a day to really think about your plan and what do you want to do. And then you're going to be so much more ahead of the game. You're going to be thinking about partnerships and opportunities, and you're not going to be paying like last minute emergency fees and missing out, you know?
Well, and I think it really starts with understanding like what are your goals for the holidays
Yeah.
and what you want to get out of it. So that's really clear what the point of all this really is. So you have a clear understanding of like, oh, this is actually important for my business, or maybe in some cases it's a little less important, right?
Yeah.
Depending on what your products are. And so I think that's really key to kind of start with those top level goals that you can
Yeah.
really be aligned in your team on what you're going to be doing.
Yeah. Cause there are brands that I have a couple brands. I'm like, they're like, yeah, my holiday really isn't until January. Like,
Right.
I'm more of the New Year's resolution kind of thing. And that's great, but still get ahead of it, right? Maybe Black Friday is not your main thing. So the checklist I give people breaks it down into a couple of categories, and you have expertise in a couple of them, but the checklist is really about wholesale. So I'm selling into a retailer. And then that direct to consumer, which is oftentimes online through various channels, and then also markets, right? And that's what I love, right? That's my
Yeah.
jam. But um, I think that holiday markets can be such a great way to improve your cash flow, get things going. So looking for fall holiday pop-ups and farmers markets that might be in your area.
No, I think that's awesome. So I know you talked through like what to do for wholesale, direct to consumer, e-commerce, and I love some of these other things that a lot of founders don't really think about. So a T Square is like one of our top holiday partners was a curated gift box service, and they I think in like December, like they usually put in a PO. There's like $25,000 of product, which was huge for us and was able to negate the drop in sales that we had from just like our D2C business. We were selling energy
Right.
bars, and so fewer people are looking for energy bars during like the holiday times. But by being part of this gift box service, it allowed us to see actually an increase in revenue for that month instead of a decline because we had this partnership. And so I love things like that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that example. Let's just take that a little bit further because those partnerships probably start long before October, right? You have to be having those conversations. Those companies working out gift baskets. And I work with a gal in fuel, Maggie, and she puts together fuel boxes for us. And she has her own gift boxing with Dos Margaritas salsa. A little shout out to her. But, we're talking about that now because then we need all this lead time, right? Like they have to work it out and get all the pricing and they got to get all the commitments. And then you get the PO and then you have to provide product long before those boxes ever go out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. And so I think those relationships happen like early in the year. And so start thinking about that now. As you mentioned, start reaching out to those gifting companies, see what they are, because a lot of times I'll tell you, actually having a curated gift box company now, it's around about people being top of mind. To say,
Yeah.
hey, that's a really unique product. I'd love to try to fit that in if possible.
And did you work with a co-packer for T squares or were you making them yourself?
For the most part, we made them ourselves. There's a
Okay.
whole nother story about going back and forth for co-packers, but
Well,
we
either way, however, like product has to be made. So either you got to start planning ahead then you got to buy ingredients well before, right? If you back it all the way up, you're like, I need to get product to them by end of October. What I got to book time in my kitchen. I need to make sure I have help if that's what you were going to have. I need to make sure I have ingredients and packaging. Oh, the packaging company takes 6 weeks, right? So we back it all the way up and we're basically in July.
yeah. So here, Sarah, here's one of my questions for you. When thinking about retail and planning around holidays, like what can brands really start to do to think how their brands might show up in the retailers that they're selling it?
Well, I think it's important to think about trends and where you can fit in to that sort of holiday scheme. whether you're gifty, are you a great giftable, or are you part of that holiday meal? I mean, Whole Foods Market, Thanksgiving was our number one holiday, with Christmas and New Year's
Mhm.
being kind of the latter ones. I mean, they were still big, but that those foodie holidays,
Yes.
right? So do you fit into that keto baking set, right? That they're maybe focused on because that's a trend. Or do you fit into that specialty department with their chocolates and their, fun little gift things that they put together?
I love that. What are some
Yeah.
of the things that you can do though? Like, can you reach out to the buyers there and just say like, "Hey," like, is it asking them like, "Hey, we love to participate. What opportunities do you have?" Or is it kind of coming
Yeah.
to them with like fully
Absolutely.
baked out ideas? What kind of
I
works?
mean, I think, earlier the better if you want to kind of bounce ideas around, but because think about it, if you're like, oh, let's go ahead and do a 4-pack of our chocolates. Now we got to think about packaging and we got to think about other things. We're going to get the product in the system. And, or if you want to do a exclusive flavor that's just for that store or something like that. So the earlier the better on those conversations. But certainly right now, you could reach out to your buyers at any of your stores and say, hey, I'm getting ahead of the holidays and here's some ideas I have. I want to be a great partner. And like you said, it's top of mind, right? I'm like, oh, they want to be a partner. I love that, right? And so all of a sudden I'm thinking about, well, let's see, I have this display that I want to make sure has this and this. And I'm like, oh, that's a great partnership. I'm glad they reached out. And it's good to think about what could you offer some incentives to stores ahead of time to get those early POs, right? Those purchase orders, so that you can start kind of knowing how to plan. I think that's the hardest thing is like, well, how much do I
Right.
make? Right. But you can get commitments pretty early in the summer and say, hey, let's decide and then put some purchase orders together. And then that way you can actually be working with your co-packer or buying, the ingredients that you need well ahead of time to be ready.
One thing that I've been really inspired by is if you're on LinkedIn in the CPG community there's a lot, I know you are, but to your listeners, there's a lot of great merchandisers who are building these awesome displays for different brands. And while they have
Mm,
their own kind of company sets, right, a lot of times these retailers are ordering sometimes 50, 100 cases of product to build these displays. But even if
yeah.
you're just a small team, there might be opportunities to say like, hey, we are perfect for X, Y, and Z holiday, and we'll even come in and you and the founders and friends and like build a display for you to help with that.
Yes.
And
Oh my
with building
gosh.
that display, the retailer will actually buy dozens of cases extra. Um, and those are POs coming in the door. And so by adding that little, like, we'll actually come into the store and help work with you and the team to do it, because we know you might be short on man hours or woman hours. The that can make a big difference.
Oh my gosh. Again, that's just being a great partner and realizing like I know we all love to like trash on all the stores right now and everything that's going on, but the buyers are in a tough spot too. Like they're getting squeezed and they just don't have as much time as they used to. The marketing folks, the buying folks. So anything you can do to give them time back and make their lives easier. Also get your promotions in well in advance, as soon as you possibly can. Think through, what are the right times? Are you a Thanksgiving holiday thing or are you a Christmas thing? Are you a, New Year's resolution thing? But get your promos in early and then also can you get your demos scheduled in early, right?
Yeah, get on that
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah. Because the last thing you want is like again, October where you're like, ah, I really want to be in the store the week of Thanksgiving. And they're like, sorry, it's full. It's taken.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
That's where you miss out on opportunities for sure. Anything else to add about wholesale thoughts that you've seen work?
Yeah, I think it's really understanding just like what you're committing to and if you want to go all in on a holiday or not, because it can be a big it's just a lot of time and planning there. I guess the last thing on that quickly is what about creating like holiday specific flavors for a
Mm-hmm.
retailer? Like that can be a big investment. What happens if you don't sell them?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple clients who do have holiday flavors. And so again, the sooner you can get them out to buyers, potential, especially like gift shop. And this isn't just like a Whole Foods or natural grocers. This is think about gift shops as well. But you want to like really leverage those relationships that hopefully you've spent time building.
Yeah,
It's the like, don't just show up on in my email like in October. Like, have you been nurturing the relationship ahead of time? And that way, when you're like, oh, we have this peppermint flavor now, or this, apple spice or whatever it is, it's like, okay, sure. Yeah, I'll take a chance with that. But the more you can get pre-commitments ahead of time, that way you don't go too all in. And then having a multi-channel strategy. So can you have other outlets so that if you don't sell as much as you thought in one area, can you run it on e-commerce or Amazon or something like that?
totally makes sense.
Yeah. There's so much to think about. And I have a spice co-packer that I refer people to a lot. And we just had a conversation. He's like, yep, remember August, I start filling up, right? Again, everything backs out. So you're like, oh, well, I need all my containers. I need my ingredients. I need my labels. And so this is definitely the time to be working on that holiday plan. So let's talk a little bit about e-commerce, because there are some similar overlaps, so certainly around production and things like that. But I think that's more of a, like, when it's wholesale, you're dealing with the retail buyer and getting commitments ahead of time and what they want. Whereas e-commerce, it's kind of, you're directing the ship. It's all up to you, for better or for worse.
The thing I see brands at the early stage teetering on is like for Black Friday through the holidays, like how much do I discount my product? Am I even like
Yeah.
making money? Is it a loss leader to get new customers in the door? Like how should I even be thinking about like the strategy behind what I do for those events?
Again, just like with the buyers, don't show up in November on their email doorstep with like, hey, remember us? Like, hopefully you've been nurturing your email list ahead of time. And it's good to even ramp it up a little bit in like September and October, just reminding people who you are, what's special about you, not necessarily selling, like not necessarily a lot of promotions, but kind of like becoming a friend again. Like, hi, remember us? We're cool. You subscribed to our email list or you bought from us at some point. So we're just kind of we're getting back into your awareness.
Yeah, I think that's huge because every advertising avenue is incredibly expensive around the holidays because you're not only competing with other brands of your size, but all the major players. And so, as much as you can leverage your email list to sell, it'll drastically reduce those costs, right? Imagine if
Yeah.
some people are spending $25 to acquire a new customer around that time on Black Friday. And what if instead you gave a $20 customer or discount to your existing customer on the email list, right? You would have spent that money anyway to acquire a new customer, but now you're able to use that to discount to your current customers. And so really getting smart on, like as you mentioned, building your email list early, so then you have to spend less on paid advertising than you might have otherwise would have.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And I'm actually in August, so I am a huge fan of lead ads. I don't know. Are you familiar with lead ads
Damn.
much? Okay. So I love them so much. And I've been using them personally and they've been working really well. And then I have some clients who I've trained. And so we're going to be that's our one of our calls and in my group in August will be how to do lead ads. And I have a brand who is getting leads at 31 cents,
Mm,
qualified leads each. Now they're getting them on their list now, right, in the summer. And imagine if you keep, 31 cents a lead, now you start nurturing them with those emails as you crescendo up right,
yes.
to the holidays. And like you said, now you've only spent 31 cents. You can give bigger discounts or you don't have to give as much, you just keep more money because you're not trying to compete with everybody else.
No, I love that. I think as you mentioned as well, like building those relationships early and then putting those seeds of ideas in their minds of like, hey, this is a great giftable item. Or if you're
Yeah.
putting together those like special gift collections, then people start to think like, oh, I probably should start thinking about holiday gifts. I'm really bad at it, but this could be a great gift for my so and so. Before they start making plans and going out and finding other gifts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just kind of warms them up. And that way, when you know how many emails you get around Black Friday, it's like, and I look at them more as like sport because that's, I'm just always curious. But I know, people are like, I hate all the emails I get. But if you've already warmed them up and they're like kind of like you already, then they're more like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to delete all those other people who I'm just now hearing from.
Yes.
Right. We have all this emotion about our emails. It's like,
I know.
and remember, you're going to have to, I know people are like, oh, I emailed them once. I'm like, yeah, okay. But they have a million other emails. So, don't assume people saw that one email, like be willing to email them more. And in the holiday boot camp that I'm running in August, I'll have my amazing email gal, Jane Hamill, come and talk about the right amount of emails to send and what to send and help people clarify that. But email is you got to go get the email leads elsewhere, like on Google or Meta, Facebook, whatever. But then you own them. Then they're your customer and you got to do the work in email.
I think a lot of things that founders make a mistake of as well is once they acquire those customers, especially around those big acquisition periods of the holidays, a lot of them founders aren't doing enough to nurture them and getting that second order. Right. So if
Yeah.
someone's finding your brand for the first time, they're trying it out, they're unsure how it's going to work. They're not going to fall in love the very first time. It usually takes 2 to 4 purchases to start building something as a routine in their lives. And so, what are you doing to get them coming back a second and a third time, so that they continue to purchase with you? And if you can focus on that, increasing that 3 month, I always talk about a 3 month lifetime value of a customer. So getting them come back as much as possible during a 3 month period, then you can start building. They can start building that habit of using your brand throughout their lives and maintain that kind of purchase frequency throughout the year.
Yeah. I love that. So any other e-commerce tips? Because I do want to talk about your gifting. You have your own e-commerce
Let's go into that.
business. Yeah. So, I'm curious because we were talking about it earlier. Like, have you already planned out your holiday packages?
Yeah,
Or-
for Joyful Co, we have already planned out our holiday assortments. Those are set. So
Yeah.
unfortunately,
So
aren't
nobody
taking any
go and
more.
email for
I'm not
discount.
taking any new ones right now for this year. And it's really to start getting ordering in to get everything set. We're building out our marketing now, to really make sure we're hitting on those key periods.
Yeah.
And so all that planning is happening now as well.
Yeah. And so any other like things, I guess, what should people consider like down the road or if they were going to work with somebody else? And I always love it. I mean, you don't necessarily have to work with somebody like you who's curating, but you could actually do a small partnership with some other brands that you guys could work it out, right? Where each of you is hosting this like cool bundle of, some partnered brands that work together.
Yeah, I think there's a big missed opportunity in terms of creating giftable
Yeah.
packaged collections, right? Like a lot of brands will just sell their same case of 6 of their products or a single product, and just frankly, a lot of consumers aren't looking for that at that time of
Right.
the year. Either they're looking for something nice for themselves or for family members or for friends, and so as much as you can do the gifting work for them, then it's a great way of getting your product into more hands. As you mentioned, there's great partnerships that you can do with a similar brand or a complementary brand that or founder friends and say, hey, let's create this curated gift box. And then someone can take the lead. You put together a budget, how you want to promote it, and really just start getting that out to your audiences, either in like a paid way or in just through your own email list. So you're creating those curations from the beginning.
Yeah. And those again, all those things take time because if you think about like I'm like a ninja project manager. So it's one of those things like it comes so naturally to me, but I've realized like, oh, not everybody's brain thinks this way. So let's just back it out. So like you want to be live by, let's say, November 1st. So you need photos ahead of time. You need all the marketing copy. You need, all the pricing and everything up on the website. You need packaging well in advance, like photos, you might need to get 3-4 weeks in advance. Right? And then like somebody's got to take the lead on it. And like these things just take a lot more time than we think they will. And what people usually do is like either they have to say no to things because there's just no way, or they're then running around really, really stressed out. And it's not a good experience for anybody.
No, it's so true. And I think two pieces of advice that I would give is one, as you mentioned, think about that timeline and actually put on your calendar, like block out a 3 hour block or 4 hour block or 1 hour block to say, hey, plan for this event and have kind of key follow ups throughout that time period is the first thing. And I think the second is I usually recommend for founders to like either like go all in to doing it and promoting it, or don't worry about it this year. Like if you don't
Yeah.
have time to think about it because you're launching other things, like don't half do it and just put them together like a bad offer, because you're going to spend more time creating something like bad with little impact and then just be frustrated by the result. So either kind of plan and commit to go all in and doing something at a certain level, or just worry about it the next year. You don't have to do everything. There's a lot going on as a founder, and so you don't want to overstress yourself with things like this.
Yeah. And the more you can do the planning now, you can decide ahead of time. And to go back to what we said at the very beginning, like what are your goals for the holidays? And we always overestimate what we can do in a short amount of time. And I would say even like 5 months basically is a short amount of time, or 4 months, whatever, till whatever your holidays are. But we always overestimate. And so know that ahead of time, make decisions. I'm going to do these 3 things, and these are my priorities. And I want to grow sales in this category by X amount. And then keep a list, right? I think everybody wants to do everything all the
Yeah.
time, but keep a parking lot list, have a note on your phone or something that you just keep that list of like, maybe that's a next year thing, right? It's okay if you miss the boat on this time, or it's a good idea, but it's just not in your plan. Like as CEOs, we have to constrain and we just can't do everything all at once. But put it on your list, then you can revisit it for next year, next summer when I find a new holiday sweater.
Exactly.
Start reminding you that it's time to plan for the holidays in July, right? So yeah,
Very
keep
true.
keep a list from previous years and think back to what you wish you would have done last year, right? Or what you wish you could have done better, or what you didn't like, what didn't work.
Completely.
Oh my gosh. So I think those are some really great holiday tips. Anything else you've thought of that you want to make sure we add?
No, I think that's pretty much it. And I think after listening to this episode, give yourself a couple hours to plan out what your ideal holiday will look like, where you want to focus and where you don't want to focus is equally important, as you just said, to know what you want to say no to,
Yeah.
and start working on that plan today.
Yeah. And I'm also on a mission. I mean, I want you to grow your sales, but I'm on a mission for you to actually, sounds crazy, Jordan, but enjoy your holidays. Like,
Oh yeah.
what if you actually could enjoy Thanksgiving and all your emails were done and everything was worked out ahead of time and you were just like, yeah, it's all on automatic. It's fine. I'm not getting, pulled away by my phone. Like, what if you actually enjoyed your own holiday season and you were making money? So I'm on a mission to help
Mind
people do
blowing,
that.
Sari. Like that's something that's so foreign to founders.
It is possible, but it starts now.
Yes.
And yes, so you can go get the checklist. We'll put the link in the show notes. And for the holiday boot camp, there's information on that page. And we are doing something special for Food Bevy members, which you got to be in the Slack channel to go learn about it. But be sure to check that out, because if you have trouble forcing yourself to make that time, then like use strategic accountability and go sign up for the boot camp, and then you'll make the time. And I will
Exactly.
force you
You're great at doing that.
to do all this work, right? But it doesn't have to be that much. It's just like you just need to create time and just sit down and do it.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me. It was a fun little chat, and I think it'll be really helpful. Yeah. Well, I'll put on my Santa hat one last time. There we go.
Yeah.
Holiday season.
I'll need
This
to
is
get
it.
one for the next one in my ugly holiday sweater.
All right, we're gonna see who can have the ugliest sweater next year. Let's do it.
Love
All
it.
right. Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks,
Appreciate your
Sari.
time. That was awesome. I had so much fun talking shop with him. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some new ideas out of it, things you want to start doing right now. Now is the time. And spots are limited, but come join me in the holiday boot camp because this is work that you have to do. But come do it in a group setting. Come do it where I'm giving you tools and you're not just sitting down going, now what do I do? They told me stuff and I don't remember. And I always make things fun. I have some great guests coming and we're just going to have a good time and we are going to get work done. And then you're going to feel so good going into it knowing I got a plan. And now I just have to go execute it this fall. Boom. All right, go to foodbizsuccess.com/holiday to get all the details. Until next time, have an amazing week.